The man who reported the theft was the man who committed it. For 22 months, inventory vanished from a warehouse loading dock. Electronics, power tools, appliances, $340,000 gone. Every shred of evidence pointed at one employee, his badge, his shifts, his loading dock. Management built an airtight case. They fired him, prepared a police report. His coworkers wouldn't sit with him in the break room. But there was one thing the real thieves didn't plan for. A corporate security upgrade that had been sitting in a budget queue since January. 16 new cameras, 4 aimed directly at the loading dock, and 72 hours of footage that wouldn't just clear an innocent man's name, it would expose 5 people, a 2-year operation, and a betrayal so calculated it had been designed to destroy him from the very first day. The third safety award sat on a shelf in the break room, Marcus's name engraved on a small brass plate. The afternoon they gave it to him, the whole crew clapped. 12 guys on the overnight shift, most of them lifers. In the back row, a man named Derek clapped too, smiled wide. The smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Marcus had started at the Ridgemont Distribution Center at 22. A floor picker, scanning barcodes, pulling pallets, loading trucks in a warehouse that moved $4.2 million in merchandise every month. By 30, he was lead inventory specialist. He knew every shelf number, every SKU, every loading dock routine. He'd built a life inside those walls. His daughter's college fund started the same year he got promoted. His wife said the warehouse gave them everything, and it had. The warehouse also gave him Derek. Derek started 6 months after Marcus. Same shift, same dock. Marcus trained him on every system, how to reconcile the manifests, how to flag discrepancies, how to handle the loading dock when 3 trucks arrived at once. They fell into a rhythm, carpooled 3 days a week. Derek was at Marcus's daughter's 4th birthday party, the one with the bouncy castle that deflated halfway through. Marcus recommended Derek for a shift supervisor position. Told management he was the most reliable person on the crew. 12 people worked that overnight shift together. They ate together, covered for each other, knew each other's kids' names. Here's a number that might surprise you. 75% of employees have stolen at least once from their employer. That's not fringe behavior, that's 3 out of every 4 people you work with. Marcus would have laughed at that statistic. He trusted every single person on his crew, every single one. One Monday morning, Marcus pulled the weekly inventory report and ran it twice. A full pallet of consumer electronics, $18,000, had been scanned as received at the loading dock on Thursday night. By Friday morning, it was gone, not misplaced, not mislabeled, gone. He flagged it to his manager, logging error, probably. These things happen in a warehouse that processes $4 million a month. 2 weeks later, another discrepancy. $7,400 in power tools. Same dock, same overnight window, then $12,000 in small appliances. Same pattern, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always from dock 7. Marcus started keeping his own spreadsheet. Dates, dollar amounts, dock numbers. He was trying to find the glitch in the system. What Marcus didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the average employee theft scheme runs for 12 months before anyone catches it. This one had been running for almost 2 years, and it wasn't a glitch. It was a business. Derek walked into the manager's office on a Wednesday afternoon, closed the door behind him. What he said in that room would rearrange Marcus's entire life. He told management he'd seen Marcus hanging around the loading dock after hours. Said he spotted Marcus's car parked behind the building on a night he wasn't even scheduled to work. The manager pulled the access logs. Every single theft, every missing pallet, every vanished shipment had occurred during Marcus's shifts. His badge had opened the dock 7 security door at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., times when nobody should have been there. What Marcus didn't know, what he wouldn't learn for months, was that someone had cloned his access badge. A duplicate programmed with his credentials, opening doors in his name while he slept in his bed 3 miles away. 43% of workplace fraud is detected by tips from other employees. The system is designed to reward people who speak up. But when the person filing the tip is the person running the operation, the system doesn't just fail. It turns into a weapon, and the weapon was aimed directly at Marcus. Marcus felt it before anyone said a word. The break room went quiet when he walked in. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Guys he'd worked beside for years suddenly couldn't meet his eyes. Nobody accused him directly, they didn't have to. The silence said everything. His manager started scheduling weekly one-on-one meetings, every conversation documented. Every question pointed. HR sent a formal written warning for something called inventory handling irregularities, a phrase so vague it could mean anything, a phrase designed to build a paper trail. At home, his wife asked why he'd been staring at the wall every night after dinner. He didn't have an answer. He didn't understand what was happening to him. He only knew that something had shifted beneath his feet, and he couldn't find solid ground. The losses kept climbing. $47,000 and counting. And here's a statistic that should terrify anyone who's ever trusted a coworker. 87% of people who commit workplace fraud have zero prior criminal record. No arrests, no red flags, no history. They look exactly like the person sitting next to you right now. They look exactly like Derek. The manager didn't ease into it. He put the numbers on the table. $62,000 in missing inventory over the past 4 months alone. Electronics, power tools, appliances, every single incident traced to Marcus's shift, his loading dock, his access badge. The company was preparing 2 things simultaneously, a termination letter and a police report. Marcus said the only thing he could think of, check the cameras. The manager paused, leaned back in his chair. There was a problem. The old CCTV system covered the main warehouse floor, the aisles, the packing stations, the front entrance, but the loading dock, those cameras had been down for over a year. A maintenance ticket had been filed. Nobody followed up. The cameras that could have shown who was actually backing trucks up to Dock 7 at 3 in the morning, those cameras had been dark for 14 months. Broken or disabled. Marcus sat in that chair and felt his stomach drop through the floor. He knew he didn't do this, but he had no way to prove it. Every piece of evidence pointed at him, and the one thing that could have saved him had been conveniently offline since before the thefts began. The installation crew arrived on a Friday afternoon. 4 technicians in matching polos running cable along the ceiling trusses of the warehouse. High-definition cameras, motion-activated, 30-day cloud backup. Corporate had approved the security upgrade 3 weeks earlier, a routine modernization request that had been sitting in a budget queue since January. Nobody on the floor connected it to the thefts. It was just corporate being corporate. The technicians mounted 16 cameras across the facility, 4 of them aimed directly at the loading dock, every angle, every door, every square foot of concrete where a vehicle could park. The overnight crew noticed. A few guys joked about Big Brother watching them stack pallets. One person didn't laugh. Derek glanced up at the new camera above Dock 7 and said nothing. For the first time in 2 years, every inch of that warehouse was being recorded. Marcus wasn't there to see it. He was at home, on suspension pending investigation, updating a resume he never thought he'd need. His phone rang at 6 the next morning. The security director's voice was clipped, urgent. "Marcus, I need you to come in, right now." The security director didn't say a word when Marcus sat down. He just pressed play. The timestamp read Friday, 2:47 a.m. The loading dock was empty. Then a figure appeared at the side entrance. He swiped a badge. The system logged it as Marcus's credentials, but the man on the screen wasn't Marcus. It was Derek. He walked to the dock door and hit the release. A dark SUV backed in. Within seconds, 2 more crew members appeared from the shadows. They loaded 14 boxes of high-end consumer electronics into the vehicle in under 6 minutes. Practiced, efficient, like they'd done it 100 times. Saturday night, same routine, different vehicle, different crew members helping, 5 people total across the weekend. Sunday night was the clip that made the security director call Marcus at dawn. Derek stood at the dock, phone to his ear, directing the entire operation, pointing where to stack, checking manifests, using Marcus's cloned badge to open every door, log every access, create a digital trail that led to one person, the one person who wasn't there. The organized theft rings that involve 3 or more people cause median losses of $329,000. This ring had 5 members. And every dollar they stole, every box they loaded, every door they opened, it all pointed at Marcus. Monday morning, 7:14 a.m. Derek pulled into the parking lot like every other day, coffee in one hand, lunch bag in the other. 2 plainclothes detectives were waiting at the employee entrance. They didn't introduce themselves until he was inside the building. The footage was shown to each member of the ring in separate rooms. 3 of them broke within the first 10 minutes. Gave up names, dates, storage unit where they'd been staging the stolen merchandise before resale. They all said the same thing. It was Derek's operation, Derek's plan, Derek's idea to clone Marcus's badge. When the detectives sat Derek down and played the Sunday night clip, him on camera, directing the whole thing, badge in hand. His face went blank. He said the footage was doctored, said Marcus must have put them up to it. The detective asked him one question. If Marcus organized this, why is he the only person who never appears on the footage? 5 arrests, 48 felony counts across the group, organized theft, fraud, identity theft. The total confirmed haul over 22 months, $340,000. The company sent Marcus a letter the following week, not a termination letter this time, a formal written apology, full back pay for every day of his suspension, benefits restored, and an offer, warehouse operations manager, the position Derek had been quietly lobbying for behind closed doors. Marcus's attorney filed a wrongful termination and defamation claim 3 days later. The company settled for $185,000. No trial, no discovery. They knew what a jury would think about a company that fired an 8-year employee based on fabricated badge logs without ever checking who else had access. Derek entered a guilty plea, organized theft, fraud, identity theft, 4 years. The other 4 members received 18 months to 3 years each. And the manager who built the case against Marcus, the one who pulled him into that office with a termination letter and never once questioned why the loading dock cameras had been offline for 14 months. He was fired. The company overhauled its entire access badge system within 60 days. New dual authentication protocols, tamper-proof logging, and permanent high-definition cameras on every dock, every entrance, every blind spot that had ever existed. Marcus still works at the Ridgemont Distribution Center. His office is on the 2nd floor now, overlooking the warehouse floor he used to walk every night. On the wall behind his desk, in a simple black frame, hangs his old employee badge, the one that was cloned, the one that opened doors he never walked through and logged entries he never made. He keeps it there on purpose. The same hands that shook holding a termination letter now sign the daily operations reports for the entire facility. Every camera in that building is his silent witness. Some betrayals don't just hurt. They try to erase you. They try to rewrite your name into something you're not. But karma doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need your plan. It just needs time. And sometimes 72 hours of footage. Now here's where I need you. If this story hit close to home, if you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do or watched someone take credit for your suffering, drop your story in the comments. And if you want more stories where karma always collects, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.